Good morning, boys and girls, and happy Tuesday. I am so excited for today. I think you're going to have a lot of fun. So let's get straight to it. So, if you can see in one moment, we have an awful lot of animals at the top of the screen today. So, I'll share a little bit more with you about that when we get down to math. But, I wonder what those animals are doing there. Well, they definitely are there for a good reason. Just a reminder that today we have our Zoom meeting as usual at 10, but today's focus is going to be on writing. So please come. I've noticed a few things that I really want to focus on. So let's go over that together and it will help you with your writing later, which is going to make your assignment that much easier. All right. Since you don't have grammar or your digital journal today, because you do have a bit of other things that might take you a little bit longer than normal, I have put your personal dictionary here for you to go to. I know I showed this to you before and I love it. And it might be something that I might actually assign to you next week. So it might be a good thing to get started or just look at it, check it out. It's really great that you can have your own personal dictionary to get started on. Independent reading, same as usual. Today for reading, you are reading chapter 6 and 7, both of them. So each of those chapters only has one page of questions. So for chapter 6, you're doing slide 9, and for chapter 7, you are doing slide 10. Today in writing, you know that you are doing your first draft of the best place to live. And I've added something new here. I added a new color. You can see I added yellow, and I think that's going to be really helpful. So again, we will talk about that during office hours today. And then this is also a really good video that's going to help you understand and give you a good example of what it is that I'm looking for in this second first draft that you are doing. All right, here we go in math. The Wild Things Animal Sanctuary calls me, and they're having a bit of a problem. All their animals got let loose by the monkeys, and they need your help getting them back. So you need to go into Google Classroom, and under classwork and under math, you will see the Wild Things Animal Sanctuary activity. So click on it to access your slides just as usual. There are instructions on there, but I'm also going to go over it during office hours, and then I have a video for you right here. So you're going to want to watch this because it's going to clarify a lot of your questions that you'll have from just reading the instructions on your slides, okay? So go ahead and watch that later. In social studies today, as usual, you're going to read slide 15 and complete the chart on slide 16. And then I'm also going to introduce you to a reader's theater activity that I'm so super excited about. So I will tell you more about that at our meeting at 10 today as well. We have a lot going on in today's meeting, okay? And then last but not least, you have music for Miss Denoya's class. You need to log into our Google Classroom, and you should already be logged in because I gave you the password and all of that last week, okay? And then art, how to draw a healthcare hero. So from there, I'm gonna stop and we are gonna get started on reading the BFG. They were in the land of dream catching, and now we're gonna see how they actually do it. The big friendly giant put the suitcase on the ground. He bent down low so that his enormous face was close to Sophie's. From now on, we use keeping as still as winky little miceies, he whispered. Sophie nodded. The misty vapor swirled around her. It made her cheeks damp and left dewdrops in her hair. The BFG opened the suitcase and took out several empty glass jars. He set them ready on the ground with their screw tops removed. Then he stood up very straight. His head was now high in the swirling mist, and it kept disappearing, then appearing again. He was holding the long net in his right hand. Sophie, staring upward, saw through the mist that his colossal ears were beginning to swivel out from his head. They began waving gently to and fro. Suddenly, the BFG pounced. He leapt high in the air and swung the net through the mist with a great swishing sweep of his arm. Got him, he cried. A jar, quick, quick, quick. Sophie picked up a jar and held it up to him. He grabbed hold of it. He lowered the net. Very carefully, he took something absolutely invisible from the net into the jar. He dropped the net and swiftly clapped one hand over the jar. The top, he whispered. The jar top, quick! Sophie picked up the screw top and handed it to him. He screwed it on tight, and the jar was closed. The BFG was very excited. He held the jar close to one ear and listened intently. It's a winkle squiffler, he whispered with thrill in his voice. It's even better. It's a fizz wizard. It's a golden fizz wizard. Sophie stared at him. Is it really a good one? Sophie asked. A good one, he cried. It's a golden fizz lizard. It is not often I is getting one of these. He handed the jar to Sophie and said, Please be still as a starfish now. I was thinking there may be a whole swarm of fizz lizards up here today. And do kindly stop breathing. It was terrible noisy down there. I haven't moved a muscle, Sophie said. Then don't, the BFG answered sharply. Once again, he stood up tall in the mist, holding his net at the ready. Then came the long silence, the waiting, the listening, and at last, with surprising suddenness, came the leap and the swish of a net. Another jar, he cried, quick, quick, quick. When the second dream was safely in the jar and the screw was screwed and the top was screwed down, the BFG held it to his ear. Oh no, he cried. Oh, mince my maggots, oh, swipe my swoggles. What's the matter, Sophie asked. It's a troggle humper, he shouted. His voice was filled with fury and anguish. Oh, save our solos, he cried. Deliver us from weasels. He's dancing on my dibbler. Lots of interesting words there. There we go. What are you talking about? Sophie said. The BFG was getting more distressed every moment. Oh, bash my eye bones, he cried, waving the jar in the air. I come all this way to get lovely golden dreams, and what am I catching? What are you catching? Sophie said. I is catching a frightsome troggle humper, he cried. What do you guys think those are? A troggle humper is probably another name for a bad dream. It is worse than a bad dream. It is a nightmare. Oh dear, Sophie said. What will you do with that? I was never letting it go, the BFG cried. If I do, then some poor little toddler will be having the most curb-loving time. This one is a real Casey bog thumper. I was exploding it as soon as I get home. Nightmares are horrible, Sophie said. I once had one and I woke up sweating all over. With this one, you'd be waking up screaming all over, the BFG said. This one would make your teeth stand on end. If this one got into you, your blood would be freezing to icicles and your skin would go creeping across the floor. Is it as bad as that? It's worse, cried the BFG. This is a real wopsy grob witcher. You said it was a troggle humper, Sophie told him. It is a troggle humper, cried the exasperated BFG. But it is also a bog thumper and a grob switcher. It's all three riddled into one. Oh, I was so glad I was clutching it tight. Oh, you beastie, you, he cried, holding up the jar and staring into it. Nevermore is you going to be a bunk-doodling little poor human beanie toddler. Sophie, who was also staring into the glass jar, cried out, I can't see it. There's something in there. I can see it. There's something in there. Of course there is something in there, the BFG said. He was looking at a frightsome troggle humper. You told me dreams were invisible. He is always invisible until they is captured, the BFG told her. We have seen this one very clearly. Inside the jar, Sophie could see the faint scarlet outline of something that looked like a mixture between a blob of gas and a bubble of jelly. It was moving violently, thrashing against the sides of the jar and forever changing shape. It's wiggling all over the place, Sophie cried. It's fighting to get out. It'll bash itself to bits. The nastier the dream, the angrier it's getting when it is in prison, the BFG said. It is the same as with wild animals. If an animal is very fierce and you is putting it in a cage, it will make a tremendous rumpledumpus. If it is a nice animal, like a cockatoodle or a froggle-frump, it will sit quietly. Dreams is exactly the same. This one's as nasty and fierce as a begrottling nightmare. Just look at him splashing himself against the glass. It's quite frightening, Sophie cried. I'd be hating to get this one inside on a darksome night, the BFG said. So would I, Sophie said. The BFG started putting the bottles back into the suitcase. Is that all? Sophie asked. Are we going? I was so upset by this trog-humping, bog-thumping gobswatcher, the BFG said, that I was not wishing to go on. Dream catching is finished for today. Soon Sophie was back in the waistcoat pocket and the BFG was racing home as fast as he can go. When at last they emerged out of the mist and came again onto the hot yellow wastelands, all the other giants were sprawled out on the ground, fast asleep. That is the end of our chapter, and tomorrow's is called A Troggle Humper for the Flesh Lump Eater. So I'm looking forward to seeing what that is all about. I have no idea. My predictions in this book sometimes are as good as they normally are because there's just so much going on. Like, what's happening next? So stick with me, and we'll be looking forward to seeing what happens tomorrow. Otherwise, I'll see you at our meeting at 10. Get ready to save the animals, boys and girls. Bye, everyone.